The history of Konya is almost as long as the history of humanity, and it is one of the rare cities succeeded to preserve its historical, cultural, and natural assets. Konya has always been the key point of Asia Minor, the bridge connecting Asia and Europe. Konya nestles many beauties within itself, and you can either live or breathe in these beauties as a guest or by settling in here. Konya will open its arms to you in either way, with its cultural and historical assets and natural beauties. The name of Konya comes from the word Ikuwania. That name was given to the city by Luwians 5,000 years ago. The city was named as Iconium, Iconium, and Iconia in the course of time. In the Middle Ages, the Arabs called the city El Konya, and finally, the Seljuks called it Konya. According to sayings, the dervishes flown to Konya from Khorasan had admired the greenness of the plain and decided to build a city in here and called it Konya, meaning "let's settle here" in Turkish. Konya and its neighborhood had always been the center of many civilizations since the prehistoric times. Archaeological works in the region have been continuing for more than 100 years. At the beginning, the inscriptions were examined, and after the 1950s, Mel Art's works had focused on the prehistoric era of the region. As a result of these works, important prehistoric centers such as Çatalhöyük, Karamancan Hasan, Beyşehir Çukurkent, Erbaba, and Suberde had been found. Çatalhöyük has a particular importance among these centers. The documents obtained from Çatalhöyük, which is 11 kilometers north of Çumra, proved that the region has a history of 10,000 years. In Çatalhöyük, besides the many firsts, the development of the well-known cultures is also observed. In Çatalhöyük, the first examples of fibers of weaved cloth pots had been found in clay. The motifs on the wall drawings are also the proof of weaving in the region. The monuments of Hittites, who started to rule the Konya region after 1725 BC, give us clues about the culture, art, and civilization of them. Hatip Kurunta, Eflatun Spring, and Fasıllar monuments had been found on strategic passages and water sources. Eflatun Spring, at the Höyük district, is a sacred pool and probably the oldest water pool in history. The pictures of the Hittite gods in Eflatun Spring, the most important Hittite monument after Hattusa, are integrated with the sacred pool. The monument is one of the first examples of the Hittite art graved on rocks. It narrates the gods holding the sky and establishing the relation between heavens and earth. Another monument that adds the beauty and blessing of ancient times to the present days is the Ivriz Rock Monument. The monument is in Aydınkent village, and it portrays Tarhunt, the thunder god, and Varpalavas, the Tayana king. On the hieroglyph between those two figures, it says, "I, Varpalavas, the sovereign and hero king of Tayana, I sow these vines when I was a prince. my Tarhunt bestow blessing and abundance to them. That monumental wealth, built by carving the rocks at the spring of the water, reflects the unique harmony with nature and brings the wealth from past to present. Konya and its environment have preserved its importance both in ancient times and in subsequent eras. As we move to the southwest of Konya, the Gökyurt village of today, the Klistra antique city of the past welcomes us. The Klistra antique city, a settlement consisting of cave pits spread to a wide area, takes place on the historical Royal Road. In the region where the houses were built by carving the caves at the times of the Byzantines, there are chapels, water cisterns, and must houses. The chapel, with a cross plan, is a unique piece, with its inner and outer side carved out of massive rock. Unfortunately, many of the artifacts built at the times of the Byzantines had been destroyed at the campaigns of Sasanians. In the wars between Byzantines and Umayyad, which took long years, Konya's administration had changed many times. Finally, following the Manzikert War in 1074, Süleyman Shah, the son of Kutalmış, had invaded Konya and found the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum. After Sultan Kılıç Arslan I had made Konya the capital, the city started to develop rapidly. At the time of the Seljuks, many scientists and philosophers arrived in Konya, and the city became a cultural center. Artifacts of particular importance in the architectural field were erected in that era, and rocks and marbles continued to be used as the main construction materials as in the foregoing eras. In addition, it is clear that bricks and wood, the favorites of the Middle East and Turkish architecture, continued to be used. The Alaaddin Mosque stands out with its pulpit, which is one of the finest examples of Seljuk woodworks. The construction of the mosque was started in the reign of Rukneddin Mesud I and completed during the era of Alaaddin Keykubat I. In the courtyard of the mosque, on the Alaaddin Hill, there is the Sultan's tomb, where the Seljuk sultans were buried. The conical hats and the coffins covered with Seljuk tiles are charming. Another mosque from the times of the Seljuks is the mosque constructed with the tomb and the library of famous scientist and philosopher of the Islamic world, Sheikh Sadreddin Konevi. Konevi was one of the closest friends of Mevlana. In line with his will, an open and modest tomb was built for him. Another interesting mosque with its cubic appearance and brick structure is the İplikçi Mosque, which is on Alaaddin Street. The mosque was constructed by Şemsettin Altınapa, and it was renamed after Necübettin Ayas from the İplikçi family, as it was him who had it reconstructed. Under the marble altar of the mosque there is the original altar made with bricks and covered with tiles. The room where Mevlana used to rest in the course of the rakes was constructed right next to the wall of the south wing. Another reform carried out by the Turks in architecture is in the way of tombs. The tombs are the expression of the respect and gratitude to the noble persons who lived in various ages. The tombs present different features according to the era they are built in. The tombs of Mevlana, constructed at the times of the Seljuks, was constructed by architect Bedrettin of Tabriz in the style of an Iwan and covered with a star vault. The 16-slide carcass, adorned with a cone and tiles and surrounded with the verses of the Holy Koran, was built by Karamanolu state. The inner decorations were made at the times of Ottoman Sultan Bayezid II, and the cover on the coffin is the gift of Sultan Abdülhamid II. It is evident that Mevlana continued to unite the civilizations and persons after his death. Another example of the tombs of the Seljuk architecture is the Ateşbaz Veli tomb on the Meram Road. The tomb was made for Yusuf, who was the son of İzzettin at the time of Mevlana. Konya is the junction point of the Spice Road from India and the Silk Road from China. Thus, the inns in Konya have a particular importance. The inns constructed by benevolent people are modest structures. The Zazadin Inn, constructed by Saadettin Köpek, one of the most important architects of the era, is the biggest inn remained from those ages. Zazadin Inn and the Horozlu Inn have been restored and reached their past beauty, and now continuing to host the voyagers of today. Konya has always been hard to share since it's on the route of two important trade roads of the era, and the holy pilgrimage route Rome, Constantinople, Jerusalem. Thus, as a result of the inner conflicts and the Mongolian attacks, Seljuks couldn't resist and end it. The rulers of Konya had changes at various times, but stayed under the sovereignty of the Karamanlı estate in general until the times of the Ottomans. At the time of Karamanlı, the city was reconstructed by many artifacts, and the old artifacts were restored. Konya, holding many firsts in its history, also witnessed the famous ordinance of Mehmet Bey, who declared Turkish as the official language of the state. The annexation policy stated at the time of Sultan Mehmet the Conqueror ended at the time of Bayezid II, and the administration of the region had been taken by the Ottomans. The scientists and the philosophers of Konya played an important role in the founding of the Ottoman Empire. The city found peace and was enriched by many artifacts at the time of the Ottomans, especially during the reigns of Sultan Yavuz and Sultan Süleyman the Magnificent. The Selimiye Mosque started to be constructed at the time of Selim II and was opened to worship in 1567. It is one of the unique examples of the classical style. The Crown Gate, which is one of the magnificent examples of stonework, merits attention with its altar and pulpit. The Aziziye Mosque, bearing the architectural characteristics of the late Ottoman era, has a Turkish Baroque style. The mosque was built in memory of Pertev Nihal Sultan, mother of Sultan Abdülaziz, after the Great Fire in 1567. The magnificent altar and the pulpit of the mosque are made of marble. The Aziziye Mosque is also the last great Ottoman mosque constructed in Konya. Konya has always been a center of interest since early times, hosting many voyagers who told of their observations to following generations. Konya hosted many voyagers at the inns in its bosom, and there were 26 inns right in the heart of Konya alone in the 17th century. Similar to the founding of the Ottoman Empire, the people of Konya had implemented their historical mission in the Republican era as well. The first protest meeting against the occupying powers and the plans for the National War of Liberation were made in here. Konya made good use of the opportunities of the Republic of Turkey and became a modern city. Many mosques were constructed in Konya during the Republican era, which have either modern or classical architectural styles. The mosque built in memory of Hacı Veysade Efendi, one of the well-known philosophers and mystics of Konya, charms the visitors with its classical beauty. Konya as a city living together with history is also famous with its museums. The Karatay Madrasa, built at the time of the Seljuks, is opening its doors to the visitors as a museum today. It is possible to see many tiles in the museum chronologically from the Seljuks to the Ottomans. At the museum known as the Thin Minaret Madrasa, because of its thin and graceful minaret, the unique examples of stone and wood artifacts are on exhibit. The Sırçalı Madrasa, also known as the Tile Madrasa, is one of the most original madrasas in Anatolia, with the beauty and the plenty of its tile adornments. The madrasa is being used as the Tomb Monuments Museum today, in which many coffins and gravestones from the time of the Seljuks and the Ottomans are being exhibited. Mevlana, enriching the human soul with the pure love and the holy light emanating from his ideas, invites all mankind to Konya for enlightening mankind with his words, "Come, whoever you are, come." The Mevlevi Lodge, accepting the visitors as the Mevlana Museum, shelters the carefully preserved tools and the artifacts in addition to the oldest publications of Mesnevi and Divan-ı Kebir. The pool at the corner of the courtyard in front of the sacred arena is called Şebi Arus Pool, since the Şebi Arus ceremony is celebrated in this very place. However, by considering the needs of the day, a modern facility was established in Konya. The Mevlana Culture Center was designed specially for national and international congresses and scientific meetings and cultural and artistic activities, and it reflects the modern face of Konya. The biggest semahane, the place where the Mevlevi dervishes perform, is in the Mevlana Culture Center. The Şebi Arus ceremonies held in here open the gates of tolerance, peace, and fairness to the peoples coming to Konya from all corners of the world. Konya, which was in the past and is still a darling spot for humanity with its history, culture, and geographical location, is a place where nature behaves very generously. Konya used to be an inland sea once upon a time, and as the water had withdrawn, the incredibly beautiful lakes had come into existence. The Salt Lake, the biggest lake of the region, provides a considerable portion of the saline need of Turkey, despite the fact that it is not that deep. Konya also possesses the only crater lake of Turkey. The peaks that the ashes of the volcano formed in the Mekelle Lake present an astonishing view. The Mekelle Lake, surrounded by black ashes, charms the visitors with its magical ambience. Konya, with its history, culture, and art of 9,400 years. And with its natural beauties, is inviting you all with its hospitality, saying, "Come, whoever you are."